Hello and welcome to day 7 of Land's End to John O'Groats with Stars and Spokes, featuring Pascal, you'll be surprised to know once again. And I'm not too sure where he is today, but good morning, Pascal. You're looking in a bit of an unusual location.
Hello, Steve. Yeah, it's still only me. Dan is still not here. I'm in a pub just to the south of Newcastle. I reckon probably about another 20 miles or so to go through to Newcastle. The exciting news is, however, that yesterday evening on the ride, I clipped through 1,000k so far, which puts me now over the halfway point. So less than 1,000k to go, and I will be at John O'Groats. So that is all very exciting.
That's brilliant news. Well done. Absolutely well done. So on the map, you've got lots of military bases on there, and I'm not familiar with them all. Which one are you near? I'm thinking RAF Leeming. Are you near there, or have you been there?
Yeah, no. So I was there last night. I'm about 30 miles to the north of Leeming at the moment. Yes, I left Leeming last night, or this morning rather, and then up to RNR, which is Royal Navy Reserve Station, Calliope, which is actually in Newcastle town centre. So that should be a good stop. Looking forward to getting back to a Navy establishment after a couple of nights in RAF establishments.
So I'm glad you've told me that's RNR Calliope, because I was going to go Calliope or something like that, which would have been obviously showing my complete and utter ignorance of the situation. So thank you for a bit of clarity. So
I wish I hadn't.
just to embarrass me a little bit more. Anyway, yeah. I'm not ashamed of my ignorance, but let's move on. So I think you need to do some running repairs as well, you said to me just before we went live. So the 1,000 kilometres is great news, but that's 1,000 kilometres of wear and tear. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, for your average club cyclist, I suppose you get through 1,000 kilometres maybe every couple of months or so as an average. And during that time, you'll probably be constantly making like little tweaks and repairs to various bits of the bikes, maybe swap out a tyre or look at one of your necks, or maybe think about changing the chain, etc., etc. But because I've not really had the time to do that, I've literally just smashed through 1,000k in like 5 days. So there are a few funny noises coming from various bits of the bike at the moment. So what I'm going to have to do is when I get into Newcastle, a few of the bits require like specialist tools. So I have the basics on my bike to deal with the major emergencies, but some of the more specialist stuff, I just need some specific tools. So once I get to Newcastle, which will be early afternoon, I'm going to pop into the town centre.
This meeting is being recorded.
Pop into a bike shop there, and then grab a few tools and hopefully make some of the squeaking noises and weird grinding noises go away for the second half of the ride. So that's the plan this afternoon.
So I was reassured by the fact that the squeaking and grinding noises aren't coming from yourself.
Not all the time. I mean, occasionally one slips out, but on the whole, they're coming from the bike rather than me. Yeah.
Okay, and I think you are actually experiencing a bit of wear and tear yourself, isn't it? You posted on Twitter a day or two ago, I think, about a glove failure. I didn't know this was important for cycling, but do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so as per the picture, really, one of my gloves has kind of split down the centre of the palm area, and that probably doesn't sound like a big issue, but within the cycling gloves that you use on a road bike, there's a lot of padding in and around sort of the base of the hand, because there are a couple of nerves that run through there. There's a pinch point for one of the nerves that ultimately leads up into your fingers, and so if you put too much sustained pressure on that for a prolonged period of time without any padding on the glove, then what you can do is start to cut off the sensation in a couple of your fingers. So that's what I'm getting at the moment on both hands, sort of like the two outside fingers. So these ones have kind of got constant pins and needles, and they're numb, and I can't push any force through them because I don't have much control over them at the moment. So, and that's an issue when it comes to things like braking and gears, because all of that is what you use those fingers for on both hands. So when I'm changing gear at the moment, I'm having to sort of reach across and pull with like my whole hand, just like change gears. So yeah, I need to get those gloves swapped out as soon as possible. So another job for this afternoon when I get to Newcastle is to pick up new gloves with better padding around the base of the hand. And then in due course, I think over the next couple of days, full feeling should hopefully start returning to the tips of my fingers and those smaller fingers, because otherwise it's going to be a bit of a struggle. And I'm hoping that'll come back quite quickly, because sometimes you get that numbness and then it can stay numb for a few days. But I'm hoping with the new gloves, then I'll get full feeling back across all the fingers, which would be a bit of a win.
Well, not being able to feel your hands doesn't sound like a whole load of fun, I have to be honest. So we talked a bit about resilience yesterday. Where are we at where are you at with your resilience at the moment? Sounds like mechanical issues, human issues. How's that playing out?
Yeah, I think it's fine. And what is good, and we discussed this a couple of days ago in one of our catch-ups, is that this afternoon had always been planned in as like a period during which I could make any repairs I needed to the bike, pick up any extra kit, all that kind of stuff. So I'd always set myself aside like 2 or 3 hours to get to Newcastle a bit early and make all those necessary changes. So I think that's made a huge difference to know that it's not just another day of another 200 kilometers in the saddle by myself. There's a whole bunch of stuff I can do in Newcastle this afternoon, which will then make the last kind of 5 days or so a lot more bearable. So yeah, absolutely fine. Knowing I've got that little break period this afternoon, it's really helping.
Brilliant. I'm glad to hear it. And I mean that in all in sincerity. So any happy humans that you've met? Any wonderful people on since I last spoke to you?
Yeah, like I know it's a bit of a cliche to say, oh, like everyone's really friendly in the north, but I mean, everyone does seem really friendly in the north. You know, it feels like a long time ago, I was in London being beeped at all the time and having abuse hurled at me just for riding my bike on a public road. Whereas now, like, you know, every time I stop for a cup of tea or coffee, or I'm just having a wander around the town to have a look around, people just come up to you and they're like, what are you doing? Oh, that's great, mate. Oh, what else? It's an amazing cause. Can't believe you're cycling so far. You're by yourself, a bit hot for cycling, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I found it is noticeably more friendly in the north. So maybe it's a cliche for a reason, because people are being really nice, and there's a lot of people out on bikes as well, which I think really helps. So occasionally I'm cycling along and then a couple of cyclists come up behind me and then we chat away for like 10 minutes. We find out about what we're up to, then off they go, normally a little bit quicker than me. But yeah, it's been really good in that respect. Up in sort of Yorkshire and then beyond, I think it would be the same.
That's also great news, but obviously to counter the friendliness, have you got a Babel fish so you can understand what they're saying? I'm going to give away my southern roots there by saying that. The accents, you said to me there's lots of different accents.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, so and we talked about it, I think it was yesterday or the day before, how like the landscapes around the UK from Land's End through to here change quite quickly. You know, in a matter of days, all sorts of terrain I've cycled through. But also the accents change over like a really small distance. You know, we're talking like 100, 200 miles that I may be covering in a day, and even from the start of the ride to the end of the ride, the accents are really different. And it's fascinating how that can happen over such a short period, because I know it's the same in countries like America, but the scale of the States is massive. You know, it's like thousands of miles across. Here we're talking about 100 or 200 miles, and the accent changes. And there's a pretty strong Yorkshire accent that I'm picking up at the moment, certainly yesterday evening, and they all seem really friendly. I'm not always 100% sure I understand what they're saying to me, but yeah, it's great. So again, very interesting, and a great way to see the country is by doing it by bike, because you see those changes as you go along, which is great.
That is great news to hear you've got that support. So next 24 hours, what's the, I mean, obviously you're heading to the running repairs, but you know, the journey itself, what's next?
Yeah, so into Newcastle, hopefully within the next couple of hours, get those repairs done, pick up a few bits and bobs, and then overnight at Newcastle. And tomorrow, we're into Scotland, which is, again, psychologically quite a big thing. I mean, Scotland's obviously pretty big, but knowing that I'm crossing that border into the Scottish border regions, into southern Scotland, and then ultimately sort of wild camping out in the Scottish borders tomorrow night. But yeah, I feel like I'm really getting close to the finish now. I know it's a long way from southern Scotland to John O'Groats, but yeah, into Scotland, and yeah, just a few hundred kilometers to go now.
So psychologically, that must be quite a big deal as well. So, but
Yeah.
also the wild camping, that's not something you've been able to do in England, I believe. Are you looking forward to the wild camping in Scotland?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, so I did it for the one night just before I started down at Land's End. I just slept out in a sleeping bag next to that signpost the night before I got going. And yeah, I love it. It's just the simple life. It might be that I'm just a simpleton, but the fact that you can just kind of whip out your sleeping bag and a little waterproof bivy bag around the edge of it, and then find yourself a spot to sleep in. Yeah, it's great. It's just so easy, and you're surrounded by nature, which for me is quite a big thing. I quite like that. So yeah, it feels like you're at one. I really like it. Become part of your surrounds. So yeah, I am looking forward to the wild camping.
So I'm quite looking forward to these little broadcasts, these little chats. But obviously, we may have some. We had some challenges in Yorkshire this morning trying to connect today, didn't we? This afternoon to connect today. So we may have a few issues, but we will do our best, won't we, to try and connect somehow. So it might involve you being on top of a mountain, holding your phone in the air, or something along those lines to make it happen.
Yeah, we could. There could be a couple of days where we struggle. Once I get really out into the wilderness, into the Scottish Highlands, then we might have a bit of a struggle on our hands. We maybe have to tweak the timing slightly, just because there's not the connectivity there. But I mean, we'll try our best, and then yeah, see how we go.
Yes, indeed. So over on the Just Giving page, we have another comment, which is from a chap called, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce, given my Calliope effort. So it's a chap called Reynald, Reynald, who I do think you know. And he said, impressive, Pascal. I don't think my bum would support this. Smiley face. Keep going.
Yeah, so he's another one from the run club I'm part of down in southwest London, and these guys are all runners, and so they're not really cyclists. And Reynolds is an unbelievable runner. You know, the other day he ran a 100-miler in like 24 hours or something stupid. Yeah, so those guys run a lot but don't really ride, and it's funny whenever they try and jump on a bike, even just to go down the local shop, they're like, my bum really hurts. They tell me that all the time. How do you do it for so long? My bum really hurts. I mean, you get used to the saddle, but yeah, loving those sorts of comments. They do make me laugh, so that's a good one.
It's all very supportive stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we must give the Just Giving page a plug, of course. So for anybody wishing to make donations, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so if you can head across to justgiving.com and then / stars and spokes. I haven't looked at the running total yet, but I think it's around the low 3,000s mark. And yeah, ultimately we're aiming for 10,000. So it'd be absolutely unbelievable if we can get close to that. So please just chuck a few quid our way. It'd be epic. You become a legend as soon as you do it. And a message as well, like a little note, is also very well received. And when I do get to check them, which is normally in the evening, I do laugh my way through the list of people who've donated that day. So thank you very much for your support.
Yeah, absolutely. The link is below this Facebook feed as well, and we'll include it on all our social media posts. So please donate. He's trying very hard, and he's just over halfway. So that's great news.
Yeah, getting there. And hopefully I'll be able to feel my hands again soon.
Well, yeah, that would be good. So good luck with the maintenance. Obviously, it's quite essential, both for yourself and the bike. And I will hopefully catch up again with you tomorrow at 12:30. Same time, same place, Facebook Live.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.